often said that men run for office to be somebody, but women run for office to change something. And we have women and men here that want to change something. And I want to be fair. So Sarah is running for Lieutenant Governor, as well as our friend Judy Baker in the audience, who's also running for Lieutenant Governor. And we also have Crystal Williams, who's running for State Senate out of Kansas City. Oh, and I see Ruth Arisman through the crowd. Is that you, Ruth? Ruth is running for State Representative in the 78th District in St. Louis, Missouri. So I want to bring up what I consider is the future. You know, there are people that have to come behind us because we have term limits, and this young lady, I think, is going to be an awesome, awesome public servant. And so I'm asking her to run for office, and she doesn't even know it yet. I'd like to introduce you to Sarah Feltz, a third-year Mizzou law student and president of Law Students for Reproductive Justice.
Thank you. I'm Sarah. I'm happy to be here today. As a third-year student at Mizzou School of Law and the leader of Mizzou Law Students for Reproductive Justice, I have a lot in common with Sandra Fluke. And we all know Sandra Fluke was a Georgetown law student who was turned away from testifying at Darrell Issa's all-male congressional panel on birth control coverage. Sandra's voice was eventually heard, and what happened after that's part of why we're here today. I'm not going to repeat the denigrating things that Rush Limbaugh said about Sandra, but I will tell you that I know exactly why he said them. To make people like me and you sit down, shut up, and put some aspirin between our knees.
Yep.
In Sandra's words, because we spoke so loudly, opponents of reproductive health care access demonized and smeared me and others on the public airwaves. These smears are obvious attempts to distract from meaningful policy discussions and to silence women's voices regarding their own health care. These attempts to silence women and the men who support them have clearly failed. I know this because I've received so many messages of support from across the country, from women and men speaking out because they agree that contraception needs to be treated as the basic healthcare service that it is. Not only have Rush Limbaugh's personal attacks backfired, they've empowered all of us to speak out, and they've motivated 35,000 other people to weigh in as well. This brings me to Speaker Tilley and his decision to honor Rush Limbaugh here and now. Does Speaker Tilley really believe that Rush Limbaugh is somebody to be admired after his decades of bile? If these slurs don't disqualify Rush Limbaugh from the Hall of Famous Missourians, what would? Here's my question for Speaker Tilley. If over 100 advertisers can walk away from Rush Limbaugh, why can't you? I'm afraid that I know the answer. As a woman with much in common with Sandra Fluke, who's speaking out in favor of access to contraception, I can only conclude that Speaker Tilley agrees with Rush Limbaugh's tactics. Speaker Tilley has already come out and called us intolerant liberals. What name is he going to call us next? Well, I think we have news for Speaker Tilley. Will name-calling stop us? No! Are we going to make our voices heard by Speaker Tilley?
Yes!
In closing, I'll share Sandra's perspective on Rush Limbaugh and others who've attacked her personally. This reaction is so out of the bounds of acceptable discourse, and these types of words shouldn't be applied to anybody. And I'd add that Rush Limbaugh, who spends the vast amount of his time far out of the bounds of acceptable discourse, should be considered far out of the bounds of the Hall of Famous Missourians.
Thank you, Sarah. No to Rush! No to Rush!
No to Rush! No to Rush! No to Rush!
I want to introduce you to someone who I think is amazing. She just joined us in the Missouri House of Representatives just this past January, and she ran, when she didn't get the Democratic nomination, she said, you know what, forget you, I'm going to run it as an independent, and I'm going to win anyway. And when she did, my good friend Tracy McCreary, State Representative.
What a great introduction, and I see so many of my volunteers in the crowd, so thanks for helping me be here. It feels good for us to stand up here and look out at all of you, because I can tell you being on the House floor and being pro-choice is a very lonely feeling, so I wish you could all be here with us every day. But one thing you can do, does anyone have a guess how many pro-choice representatives are there in the House out of 163 House members?
1, 2.
About 38 out of 163. And, you know, this issue that we're talking about today, reproductive rights and reproductive health, should be a nonpartisan issue. Women of all political backgrounds use women's health care. So my words to you, we need your help. We need you to find a campaign, get behind a pro-choice candidate, and help her or him get elected, because we need their help here. We need to raise the numbers here, because, you know, it is lonely sometimes being a pro-choice state representative. So call to action. I want to hear from every one of you which campaign you're working on between now and November. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to hear from some men again. There are very few of them who have decided to come out and stand here with us. It's a good friend of mine from St. Louis County who comes up to me every day on the floor to tell me something about how beautiful I am. And I tell you, some days that makes my day. Because serving here in this house, it'll make you want to slit your wrist some days. My good friend, Reverend Representative Tommy Pearson from St. Louis County.
Thank you very much. And I want to say to you that you all look very beautiful too. I guess you may could say that I've never seen a woman that didn't look good to me. But listen, serious business. You have to vote your interests and protect your rights. And if you don't do it, hardly anybody else will. We are only here because you are here. If you wasn't here, I wouldn't be standing under this hot sun. Can I get a witness here? Now, let me go ahead and say that I'm a preacher, and you give a preacher a mic, I can talk. But let me say this to you, as we take on this fight for women's rights, and actually their human rights as far as I'm concerned. We want to aim high. Aim high. There was a man who had a family, and he ran out of food, and his father, he talked to his father and told his father the problem. His dad told him to get his gun and go hunting, and whatever you do, aim high. So he was walking through the woods, and he saw a snake, and he leveled out on that snake, and the voice said, "Aim high." And so he was standing there startled by that snake, and he heard a turkey in the tree and a deer in the distance. And he leveled on that deer because he said, the deer can feed my family for a long time, but the voice said, aim high. And so he shot the turkey. Yeah. And the bullet went through the turkey, sheared off a limb, and killed the snake. And then the bullet ricocheted and killed the deer. And the man got so happy at what had happened to him, he got to shouting out there and fell in a pond. And when they come out of that pond, all of his pockets was full of fish. So what I want to say to you as we move forward in this fight, let's do what? Aim high. Aim what are we going to do? Aim high. What are we going to do? Aim high. Aim high. Aim high.
Thank you, Reverend. Shut them down, right? Shut them down.
Boycott.
Boycott.
Economic boycott.
I agree.
Let's do it.
I agree. You know how many emails I got from people that say, I'm never coming to Missouri again if you put a bus of Rush Limbaugh in the Capitol. And I said, I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. I want to introduce to you Representative Clem Smith, another one of our rising young stars in the Democratic Party. He's from St. Louis County, and I would say he's one of the more better looking representatives we have in the House. Thank you very much. Clem Smith.
Rev is the other one. I get everything from him. But no, I want to thank you all for coming out. I was coming out thinking of something to say that'd be a little different, but this is something that you all have heard before. I'm sitting here thinking, Why do they want? You must have something within you that these men want to control. And they must be very weak individuals to want to control. Maybe they have vagina envy or something like that. Penis envy, but maybe there's some sort of vagina envy going on because it's nationwide. I'm a secure male. I can't tell you what to do with your body.
That's right.
I don't want you to tell me what to do to my, with my testicles. So why would I do that to you?
That's right.
And I know there's children around here, and I do apologize, but that's what it comes down to.
Yes.
There's a war on what you are, what you were created to be, and then there's other individuals that do not have it that are trying to restrict what you are, your being, and what you can produce in decisions that you make, and it's not right. And I'll leave that at that 30 seconds. I'll use my other 30 seconds to say, Rush, Limbag, are we serious? Oh, this what is it? Lint ball. Oh, lint ball? Oh, okay, but maybe it is. I don't know. I have a little problem pronouncing stuff sometimes. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to our state what is going on, this whole issue. This man has a history of bigotry, of racist, sexism, any kind of ism. This gentleman has done it.
Right.
But there's people that want to honor him. He's a good buddy. Maybe they played in the sandbox together. That's not right. It embarrasses our state. I travel a lot. People actually laugh at the things that happen in our chamber. Today we did something that was against the president. Had nothing to do with anything. It was based in racism, but we continue to do things like that. But with you all coming up here, fighting, showing, putting a face to the people that are being affected, it does mean a lot. So please continue to fight, continue to do what you do, and I thank you all.